Hello and welcome to the last word on Spurs. We do hope you're all keeping very, very safe and well with everything unfootball related right now. And before we start tonight's show, I know there's lots going on with Tottenham Hotspur right now in general, which we are going to come on to in a second. But I just want to say that from all of us on the last word on Spurs here, that we're deeply saddened to hear of the passing of a former Spurs player, Anton Walkes, who tragically died earlier today at the age of just 25 after a Miami boat crash. And that was on the Thursday. Just the thoughts of everyone here at Last Word on Spurs are with his family and friends. It's an incredibly sad time. And yet, must just say that at the top of this show. Here we are. We are back here on Last Word on Spurs. Thank you so much for joining us, bringing you instant reaction to Spurs losing up at the Etihad by 4-2. It's getting tougher. Definitely getting tougher here on Last Word on Spurs. I'm joined by the brilliant Richard Cracknell, Vass Koni from the Tottenham podcast, and the brilliant Lee McQueen. We're going to try and give you some therapy, some guidance in the course of this next hour and a bit as to what is happening right now with regards to our football club. Lee, Macca, let's start with you. Look, I mean, I just feel there's simply no football club in the world like Tottenham Hotspur. And I know this is the only club I know and have supported, but you know what? If you think there is something wrong, it just feels like the absolute end right now of what is going on at our club. And I know football's a cycle and different things happen, but 4 goals, 4 errors, that I think a great comment came in. You just simply can't coach that. You can't coach individual errors like that. City running out 4-2 winners after the 4 second half goals. Lee, give me a summary of that game if you can, or what we've just witnessed.
I think you have to laugh and smile, otherwise it's gonna we're gonna end up fucking killing. Excuse me, it's way after the watershed though. It is a late one. We're gonna end up killing each other, aren't we? Where to start, Rick? I thought that. I mean, if I'm just gonna summarise that match, as we are on post-match analysis at the moment, I thought we looked like we would been tactically told to press today. You can visibly see that we'd been told we couldn't do it properly. We wasn't going together as a unit and not enough intensity, but you could see that we were trying. I thought that there was flashes of some good stuff in the first half. Flashes, and I actually put in the WhatsApp group, didn't I, lads? It just doesn't seem to be going right for us at any moment. Do you know what I mean? It's just not falling for us, and we need a bit of luck or something. And I was really hopeful that we could get a goal first, which we obviously did. And then the second one, I mean, Emerson Royale, you know, he gets probably more stick than anyone in his football club, and no one's going to praise him tonight because ultimately we ended up, capitulating and losing 4-2. But I've got to give him a bit of a shout out because I thought it was an excellent, another excellent move, a brilliant header from him. He knew where to put the goal, and I thought he actually played pretty well tonight, from a defensive perspective as well. But Kulusevski does what Kulusevski does. We go 2-0 up, and you're thinking, hello, all we've got to do is come out in the second half and do what we've done all season, which is play brilliant in the second half. That's all we've got to do, Tottenham. You've fluked it or fluffed it or whatever you've done in the first half, you're 2-0 up. So all you've got to do is come out in the second half and play like you have done the entire season. Only Spurs could do what we did. Only Spurs. And it is just infuriating. It's infuriating to see it time and time and time again. And the biggest problem for me is that it's not a worldie that's being scored. You know, you could take your hat off to someone, couldn't you, and go, oh, fair play. Do you know what I mean? That's an absolute world-class goal or whatever it is. It is mistake after mistake after mistake. And Pochettino in his last year couldn't eradicate the mistakes. Jose Mourinho couldn't eradicate mistakes. The Eric Dyer fumble for the Newcastle when they come back into the game. West Ham getting a 3-3 draw. This is under Jose because of silly mistakes. At the time, maybe it was a Dyer, maybe it was a Sanchez, maybe it was a Davis. Now it's a Longley, or do you know what I mean? Or it's a Sanchez, or it's a Perisic. I mean, nothing changes. How anyone can look at that team and say that we don't need centre backs is they're having a laugh, mate. Rick, they are having a laugh. So Good evening to everybody. And I don't want it to be a moan fest, but if you could see what we see in the comments right now, you could see that it already is, and it's hard not to do. I mean, there's no positives left. I mean, Conte changed it to a back four for the last maybe 15 minutes plus added time, and quickly we can't play a back four. just saying, just quickly, we can't play that. So I don't know where else to go. Unfortunately, I think I know where it is going to go, but I really don't want that to happen. But we just got to hunker down and crack on and start and keep working through the tough times, because other clubs have gone through tough times and come out the other side. If we keep doing that rinse and repeat scenario, which I'm sure we'll get into, nothing will ever change, mate.
Yep. Nathan Evans says here on the screen. I'm going to try and bring Nathan's comment into it before I go around to Vass and Crackers. We showed good promise after decking Emerson's goals, but our defence let us down once again. Why can't Daniel Levy bite the bullet and bring in the players Antonio Conte wants? We need the better investment, and he wants Daniel Levy out. Cracks, let's come round to you. Look, this is again be another difficult last one on Spurs. I've got to be honest with you and say these shows are getting tougher and tougher by the game, by the week, by the episode. I mean, a familiar story, Cracks for Spurs, but this time just in reverse, a reverse cycle defensively against Tottenham. The failings there, really all to see in the combination of all four goals, you would say, to some degree. Look, I don't know at the moment really what the solution is. I know obviously that we need to have transfers. We know we need to have clear communication from the board. We're all frustrated. We're all angry. We all want better. We all want more. But I just don't know whether this is even beyond Antonio to be able to sort out, because we're talking about errors from players that have been here for not 1 year, 2 years, 4, 5, 6, 7, barring Longley, of course. Lloris has been here 10.5 years. And he's culpable for at least a couple of those goals today. So what can you take out of that game, Cracks, for you? Can you take out anything out of that game?
Well, evening everybody, by the way. And I've had some comments about my backdrop. I think it's slowly turning into a padded cell, to be honest, because this is where Tottenham's like taking you personally. So, you say, Rick, it's a tough show. It isn't. All you can do is just say what you're seeing that's going on. And, with some people, they say, yeah, I see that way. And other people say, no, I think you're way off the mark. So, you come on and you give your opinion on Last Word on Spurs, which kind of leads me on to the other point where people are saying, last word on Spurs, this, last word on Spurs, that. They're not saying this. They don't say that. Last Word on Spurs doesn't say anything. It's a vehicle where people come on with differing opinions. Mine might completely be of an opposite to Vaz this evening. And, but that's what you do, Rick. You bring in, 3-4 different people every episode, and we come on and we just say what we see and what we think the problems are. So, it's all you can do is just say what you're seeing at the moment. And at the moment, it's just a mess. And for me personally, this all comes from the very top. I think they set the tone and the balance for the club, and I'm just seeing no leadership from them. And Antonio earlier this week, he alluded to the fact that English football doesn't offer up anybody other than the manager. But like always with Antonio, he's very clever with what he says. I know he says he doesn't speak English very well. He does. But the points he makes, he does get across. Now, when he was talking about this, English football doesn't offer up the director of football, doesn't offer up anybody from the board of the club, he was actually just talking about Spurs, to be honest. And it was something that I tweeted a couple of days before that. We're just hearing nothing from the club. The people that lead this club, we are hearing nothing from them. Nothing at all. So for me, they're the people that's got to put their foot on the ball, if you like, and take a bit of leadership here and just start trying to get hold of this current malaise and situation that we're in. And then thereafter, this might actually sort of permeate down through the levels of Spurs where things start to change, because we just look directionless at the top, which means that comes down to the manager, the team, and to everybody else. So I don't know. We're just a mess at the moment, Rick, an absolute mess. And I don't mind a mess if you've got a plan to get out of the mess, but there's no plan with it either. And this is the problem, Antonio's having to play with players that, from 4 managers ago, and there's just a lack of investment. There just really is a lack of investment, a lack of will, a lack of want, a lack of plan. And this is what's doing for us at the moment, Rick. He doesn't look interested on the sidelines, Antonio, anymore. He just looks really unhappy. The players look unhappy. The fans are turning on themselves, and the board just sit there and say absolutely nothing. And, this is what really worries me. I want somebody from the club to come out and address all these issues and make some decisions. If that includes Antonio having to go, then so be it. If that includes Antonio having to stay, also so be it. If they want to, if they want to sell the club and go, so be it. If they want to stay and invest, that's also
something has
great.
to change. Something has to change. We can't carry on like this.
It's the nothingness, Rick.
Yeah.
It's the nothingness. It's the absolute. It's purgatory at the moment, isn't it? And at the moment, I'd rather see us go chasing a plan that doesn't work rather than the nothingness. I think that's what's absolutely killing everything. It's a vacuum at the moment. But I warn the club this now, and I'm not endorsing this. That vacuum will soon be filled with a lot of toxicity and a lot of people that are going to get very, very, we're already seeing it. It will get nasty and ugly very, very quickly if somebody doesn't come out and fill that vacuum with at least something of a plan.
Well, you can argue it already is getting very toxic. Yeah, I mean, Vass,
it's horrid. Yeah, it's absolutely horrid.
Yeah, Vass, I am going to bring you in. I feel sorry. Vass has had to sit for about 12 minutes and listen to all this, bless him. And it's, I suppose at that time, Vass, you've had a chance to gather your thoughts on what we've just witnessed and watched. But Spurs at the moment, Vass, to come over to you. We've now lost 6 out of our last 10 league games. We're bottom of the Premier League table now for goals conceded since October. And the worst thing about today is that, you know what, for 7 or 8 minutes, I actually had a genuine hope we might have a result today. And the worst thing is that the utter capitulation from Tottenham in the space of 8-9 minutes is just a summary, really, of where we are at right now. We're just a complete dysfunctional and utter mess. Firstly, what did you make of that performance against City, if you can try and sum it up for us?
Look, there's a lot of anger, okay, and I get the anger, and it's coming through in the comments, and it's coming through in what Cracker said, and a lot of the stuff that's been going on around the club in recent times. Much of it justified, because as Spurs fans, we've had to endure a lot. But if we can just look at things in isolation for a moment, at least, today we had some individual errors that cost us. Okay, we had a mad 12 minutes at the start of the second half, and a really bad error at the end by Longley for their 4th. Aside from that, we didn't really play that badly today. I don't think so. Okay, so as mad as everybody is, yes, we still got issues in our defence. We still got issues with the goalkeeper. We've got issues with the manager. We've got issues with the board. That doesn't go away. It's there. We know. We're going to talk about that. But if you're just looking at the performance today, I don't think Spurs played that badly. It was worth having. It's really nice to see Bentancur back. If we really want to analyse the game, Lloris is getting a lot of stick, maybe rightly, on a couple of the goals. For me, Perisic was probably at fault for all three of those first goals. Some really weak defending on a couple of them. Lost his runner on their second one. And then the thing at the end, they're just inexcusable. I don't think we played that badly today. There are issues at Spurs. And as I said, I think the board have a role to play and responsibility. Cracker said earlier on that it's about investment and they don't want to invest. Well, you know, we spent, I don't know how much over the last 2 or 3 windows, 150, 200 million, something like that. We've been one of the highest spenders, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody's looking at Arsenal right now and getting agitated because they're top of the league. Well, it's taken them the best part of 3 or 4 years to get to where they are right now. We've got a lot of disjointed stuff going on at Spurs, strategy not fitting right, buying win now managers and wanting a project going on. Or you could see at Chelsea, for example, they've got a project manager and they've got win now players, and that's not working either. Somehow you've got to join it up and you've got to make it work, and it's not happening at Tottenham for sure. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe Levy has to step aside. I can't see Enoch selling up anytime soon. They're not going anywhere. Somebody said earlier in the comments, well, why don't we get Antonio Conte the players that he wants? Yeah, that's great, but he wants Bastoni and might want Vardiol. They're not available, are they?
I want to ask you, Vass, to respond to what Antonio Conte has just said to a reporter after the game. So he's been questioned about the individual errors, the 4 of them. He says, you can't buy experience. Well, you can buy experience. So
is that what he said?
That's what he's just said. That is what he's just said. And to follow on from that, Conte said, this is the first time in my career my team concedes so many goals. If we compare this season and last season, we have lost our defensive solidity. Now, we're going to bring obviously more comments from Antonio Conte, but he's been very honest there, Vass. I mean, I don't think he could be any more clearer than that. He's been asked, you can't buy experience. And he says, well, you can buy experience. So
yeah, you can.
If that's not a direct message to the board, then what is Vass?
I know, Vass, you've got to comment on that, but can I just say, I don't like that comment, right? And this is not sticking up for anything other than you can't buy experience. So what is he? He's alluding to, buying more players. It's not as if he started 18-year-olds in defence today, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not as if they were.
No, but I think, but clearly, as we know,
Barcelona. Longlay's played for Barcelona for 3 seasons, and
But that wasn't his.
He sanctioned the guy to come in. Perisic is 33 and been in World Cup semi-finals and World Cup finals, and he was at fault for 3 of the goals. So whatever he's alluding
Romero's a World Cup winner.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so when he's saying you can't buy experience like in the defensive errors, well, we didn't have like an inexperienced defense today, did we? It's just shit. Like, let's put it blatantly, it's just shit.
But you know what? Just on that, Lee, I will just reference coming over to you, Vass. I mean, Jamie, one of our own from Daily Hotspur, says, Longlay's a lovely example of why Spurs will never be maybe competitive under this ownership. The manager desperately wanted a top left-sided centre-back. The club give him, no offence, an alternative, and the team continues to have the same issues, and the cycle continues. It's always plan B, plan C, alternative. It's never the main man. It's never the main man, Vass. I mean, can you answer?
And I want Bastoni, but he gets in Longley. Get me Bastoni. No, I'll get a Longley. What does Longley do tonight? Shocking.
Let me ask you,
Vass. In fairness, Bastoni didn't want to come, did he?
It's fucking experience. Bloke's 27.
But Vass, do you think, again, this is a situation highlighted there where you're right? I mean, Bastoni, as we know, didn't obviously want to make the move, but rather than Spurs maybe looking at another top-sided left centre-back that obviously I don't know who that may have been or would have been, we went for an alternative for a player that we got in on a season-long loan. Is that again a highlight of the issues that we've got at the moment with Tottenham, where we're not prepared to fully back the manager?
It could be. I'm not denying it. It could be. But then if your targets are, for example, Bastoni, Gvardiol, Hincapi, and whoever else we were after, and all of those players are tied into massive contracts and their clubs aren't letting them go, what are you going to do? I suspect the club felt that they would have a better chance with Bastoni in the coming summer. So they got long later tied us over, which at the time didn't see seem to be too bad. I mean, if you look back at somebody in the comments, I think it was Matthew Morgan said earlier that it's rubbish that Spurs have spent money, but we spent £60 million on a reserve striker, something we've never done before and something that all fans wanted us to do. You know, we bought bloody hell, gone blank now. Bissouma, who we thought was one of the best midfielders in the country, and it hasn't quite worked out yet. Sometimes it happens with signings. We do have problems. We need to upgrade the keeper because Lloris is coming to the end. We need to upgrade Dyer, and we need to upgrade Davies. There's 3 positions on the pitch that we certainly need to upgrade, and we need something better in midfield. And of course, we need wing backs. But put it this way: if Conte's not happy and he leaves, let's say, or he's not going to extend or whatever, the club's in catch-22 right now. What do you do? Because if Conte leaves, all of a sudden your purchasing strategy changes, because then you no longer need wing backs if you bring in the next manager.
Into one at the moment, are we? In January, 20 days, we ain't purchased anyone. That's probably the reason why.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Cracks want to come over. Cracks want to come over to you. Conte has been speaking to the press. We're going to try and bring some of his quotes into the show now. He says, "I think that I have to analyse very well the game. If I have to compare this game with last season, we played much better today. The performance was good. We played with personality. We created problems for Manchester City. Last season, we played for a long period in our box to defend the result, then 1 counter-attack and 2 goals from the back. Today, we were really brave. Last season, we were a bit lucky, and this season, we had a massive chance at 2-2. The game changed totally, and the mental aspect at 3-2. Compared to last season, we're conceding too many goals. 4 goals in the second half, and as I said at the start there, it's the first time in my career one of my teams has done this. We have to continue to work and try to do our best." And, you know, he's been honest tonight. You know, many have criticised him for not throwing some of the players under the bus. He has been critical of that defence. Is he still going to get a reaction from the Cracks? Is he getting a reaction from these players today? Has he got one from you today, do you think?
Well, if them players ain't good enough, Rick, they can try all that they like. If you put me in a shirt and stuck me in the back 4 for Tottenham, I'd give everything. But how effective would I be? So this is the problem. He has just not got personnel to be able to compete. So fair play is not throwing them under the bus. You can't buy experience. You can buy experience. What he actually means is, I haven't got the quality. You can buy quality. It's one experience. He just didn't want to fully serve up whoever he needed to serve up in that interview, but said it without saying it, which is Conte's way. He says things without saying it. You know, they might well have tried their best tonight, but their best isn't good enough because those players aren't good enough. And that just simply comes back to the board. Yeah. So the board now have to go out and buy that quality. And, you know, a player didn't want to come, you know, in Bastoni or somebody. If you offer enough money, they go. It's as simple as that. I love living here in Lanzarote. I don't want to leave. I love living here. Okay. But somebody offers me a job back in London for like £500,000 a year. Guess what? I'm back in London tomorrow morning and I've got a suit on and I'm working and I'm grafting and I don't care what it is I'm doing for a living either. If you're going to pay me £500,000 a year, I'll sift through pig shit every day for 12 hours for £500,000 a year. So, you know, you pay the money, you get the player. But this board, ENIC, are just not, they're just not buying the players. They're just not offering the money. This is what it all comes down to.
We're 20 days, Cracks. We're going to be 20 days into a window. But it's going to be 20 days into a window, Cracks. So you're telling me if they watch that performance back, 4 errors, 4 goals, if that is not going to prompt them, and when you're hearing Conte say, you can't buy experience, you can buy experience, what is going to change things here? What is going to change this cycle, Cracks, before I bring Lee in?
The only thing going to change the cycle that's going on is if you start hitting their profit lines. I mean, you can wear a clown mask and jump up and down on the high road all you like. It ain't going to make a lick of difference. There's a protest going on Saturday, by the way. Apparently, we don't promote such things. So listen, Saturday morning, if you want to be part of something that's a protest, Saturday morning at the training ground, there's a protest. Go along if that's your thing. So all those people that criticise us for saying that we don't promote such things, I've just told everybody that there's a protest Saturday morning at the training ground. Do you know how much difference it's going to make? Zero. They'll deal with that all day long. This board will deal with that all day long. What will hit them is if you're not buying merchandise, if you're not going in and buying beers, and that the whole strategy of these people that want to protest is completely off, because it's absolute water off a duck's back. If you want to protest, don't spend any money with them. It's as simple as that. And force them to spend the money that they have got available to them. This is fixed by there's a few variables in this. This is fixed by mainly and mostly spending money and offering money to clubs to get players and paying them the wages, because all the clubs around us are doing it. Man U are doing it, Arsenal are doing it, Chelsea's doing it. We're all seeing it. We're all seeing them all spending money to get these players in. Okay. So this is what the club's got to do. They're currently like this Porro thing, you know, and Trossard as well.
It's so embarrassing.
They're 10 million euros off.
The publicity of these moves is utterly embarrassing. How this is being played out publicly, day by day, minute by minute on social media, and it's continuing. And the thing that I liked about the summer about Spurs' business is that we did things quite simply under the radar. Basuma. Nobody knew about Basuma.
You have to pay it, Rick.
Quiet.
No, exactly. You have to pay.
But how much of this has got to do with Conte's contract?
You're right, Vass. I mean, you're right.
Listen, there is also that as well. That listen, I'm not actually serving the board up 100% here, Vaz, because Conte has always been of a mind of, oh, I'm doing you a right favour being here at Tottenham. No, you're not, mate. You're getting £15 million a year. And, you know, I only want to play this one way. Not for £15 million a year, you're not, mate. Find another way to work with what we have got, because he can actually get more out of this current squad, which isn't good enough, but he's not getting enough. So there's lots and lots of elements, but one of the big overriding elements is this club and ENIC not spending enough money on this squad, not taking enough chances, not enough to dare is to do. And then within that, there's the issues like Conte, who doesn't want to, you know, change the way he plays and doing us a favour being here. And some players that are just unhappy. But that's what I'm saying. It all feeds into this whole thing of the club just all feeling off at the moment and being quite sort of dysfunctional. But the moment the board turn round and go, okay, you want that for him? That's not a bad price. Buy him, get him. You get 3 or 4 players in this window and there's still time. And you just start to turn around the feeling around the club at the moment. And if Conte still doesn't want to change the way he plays, well, do you know what? Sack him then. Get rid of him. If he's not going to bend and flex a little bit as well as the club bending and flexing the way they do business, get rid of him and get somebody else in. People have got to start making some hard, horrible decisions here. Like Lloris in goal. It's not happening anymore, Rick. He's done. Get rid of him. We've still got a window where we can buy a keeper and he'll have to go. It's as simple as that, you know. And other players as well that are just not doing the business at the moment, go and spend the money and replace them. But that takes hard, horrible, rapid, quick decisions, decisive decisions. But we don't. We just sit on our hands and it's like...
Not 20 days into a transfer window, you're dilly-dallying over 5 million to play a release clause.
Exactly. No, because the club, all they're worried about is, well, are the profits down off the bar? Did we get 60,000 people in? You know, because somebody that's like been going 30, 40, 50 years and doesn't want to come anymore because he doesn't like what he's seeing. Yeah, but we sold his seat to somebody else, a day tripper, that actually went into the shop and spent 100 quid in there. Yeah. And that's what they're looking at. Oh, that'll do, because we've actually
that's going to happen, Crackers. That happens at all the big clubs. It happens at Man United. It happens at Liverpool. It happens everywhere, mate. That's not going to change at all.
Yeah,
this is where we are now.
It may well do, but how sustainable is that? Yeah, it's
very sustainable.
I know that's partly a football thing rather than a Tottenham thing.
Yeah. I'm just conscious, guys. I've got to bring.
I think that's where we currently are with them, Rick.
Yeah. Mac, I just want to bring you in. I've known you for the last 10 minutes. I've got to bring Macca back in. We are going to try and finish up on Antonio Conte's comments before we go for our first break. So Conte has said you have to try and justify the goals that we have conceded. This is a period where we are not so lucky. We are making mistakes. Many mistakes, because football is this. Sometimes you have a positive performance. Sometimes you're in situations that are not so positive, but we have to continue to work and believe in ourselves. And as I said in the past, this type of game with more experience, you don't lose. And as I referenced earlier, you don't buy experience, he laughs, or you can buy experience. We have to build experience year by year. And as Philip puts on the screen there, an additional comment from Conte, I think there's more coming through. He said, if I demanded the same level as at Juventus and Inter, it could be dangerous, as my frustration could be very big. I want to improve the club with my vision, my idea. What do you make of those comments coming through, Lee, from Antonio Conte and what you've heard from the guys there?
Well, now I've got the context of his kind of buy experience, can't buy experience thing. Makes a little bit more sense. I think that, I mean, I like to watch his press, and obviously I'm straight on with you guys now, and the viewers and listeners, so I ain't seen it. But basically, he's not wrong, is he? Like, at the end of the day, the bloke, look, where I sit here is quite simple. Change needs to happen at this football club. And whether or not that is Daniel Levy and the board resigning and leaving and we're getting somebody else in, or whether or not they decide to start investing proper money. You know, we've got about 400 million in the financial fair play before we can hit financial fair play. I think the Deloitte came out today, was we the 7th richest club? Did anyone see that? 7th richest club?
9th, I think.
The
9th richest club in the world.
Yeah,
9th. Yeah,
9th richest
in the
club.
top 10.
I think we did something like 120 million more than Arsenal last year, and I still think we had an operating profit of about 20 million. These are last year's figures, obviously not this year's. We haven't disclosed them yet. So, you know, but by all accounts, from an accounting perspective, and I'm definitely not an accountant, but you know, we're in good shape, should we say, on that side of things. We've got the stadium payments and all that sort of stuff. Locked down. So we're in good shape on that side. You then bring in a manager who, I don't want to say serial winner, because every time I hear that, mostly from you, Rick, to be fair, but every time I hear like serial winner, I think of Jose, and like everyone says, oh, he's a dinosaur, he's washed up, he's this, that, and the other. Conte is not. No matter what I see in these comments, which, by the way, some of you are seriously vile and rude, like, and you're not welcome in my house. Do you know what I mean? You know who you are, so you know we can have proper debate, and that's really cool. But don't be rude and don't be vile. Do you know what I mean? It's like, grow up or get out of the house. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's, you know, you are. Everyone knows you are. And sorry, listeners, because you can't see some of the comments, but you'll probably see them tomorrow on Twitter. And we've said
here, Lee. People have been vile. They have been absolutely vile, and there's no need for it. You can make your point without being vile. You're spot on.
Exactly that. And it's not about being one way or the other. It's about understanding how to evoke change. It's about understanding how the best way to do it. And regardless of whatever you think of me, if you don't like me, then that's fine. Don't follow me or don't watch it when I'm on the show. But you know, I've started 3 businesses and been in boardrooms my entire career. And that's where I like to do my talking, in that sort of environment. I don't like to do my talking with vile, abusive people that throw pitchforks at people and just vile abuse. That's not me. I've got a family, I've got 3 kids and a business. So that's the type of balance, if you like, that we want to put on onto the channel. And again, that's not necessarily last one on Spurs, that's Lee McQueen. He said, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Well, look, so anyway, coming back to the Conte thing. So you bring in a manager like Antonio Conte, knowing that he's gonna get you where you want to be. Maybe top 4 on a trophy. Do you remember that interview with Jose when Daniel said that? Or maybe we have a top 4 on a trophy, and you know that probably wouldn't change. Get back in the top 4. So it gets us back in the top 4. We do business early, like everybody needed and wanted. They put this injection 150 million quid in. Only 100 million of it we've seen. We haven't seen the other 50 million. So where's that gone? And this is the point, that whole communication. Maybe all behind the scenes, maybe they're working really hard behind the scenes that actually means something's going to happen. Maybe they're not. 22 years, 23 years suggests that that's not the case, but maybe they are. But until somebody comes out, Rick, and viewers and listeners, and explains that, this is where the frustration comes from. You know, this is why people are getting their Shrek pitchforks out, going after Shrek, and this is the issue. So for me, Antonio Conte cannot come out and say, I don't like the board, or I want more money, or this club's a joke. He can't say that, can he? I know it's an unpopular opinion, and a lot of people think that we're paid by the club, which, by the way, you're all deluded, because we are literally not. That's another thing. It's just utterly ridiculous.
If we are, could you tell me the cost that we'd be doing a show like this at night when we've just been beaten 4-2 by City? Can you please tell me?
Exactly. So
and this season in general, please.
I know it's ridiculous, but look, anyway. But we're not. But Antonio Conte is paid by the club, so he can't come out. It's like you turning around to your, whoever your bosses or your chief execs or whatever, and saying basically you're shit. Like, you're not going to do that. So he has to come out with some of these cryptic riddles and all that sort of stuff. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I don't. I think he has been very honest, and you can't really grumble with them comments that you just put out, Rick. He's telling it how he can sit and how he can say it. Now the fact of the matter is, we're not where we want to be, but we don't know, as a fan base, we don't know where the club wants to be. We know where we want to be. We also know what players we want in the squad. We also know how much money we want to spend. I might want to spend something different to you, Rick, something different to you, Vass, something different to you, Crackers, viewers and listeners. This is why football and sport and difference of opinions and different opinions and debate is brilliant. But the point I'm making is, what's most important is we want to know where the board want to go and where Antonio Conte want to go, and actually if it is joined up. That's basically what we want to. That's basically.
Ricky, have you got that? Sorry to interrupt, Lee. Have you got that comment from Conte that you put up before? Is that?
I can read it out to you. What, the one about demanding the same at Juve, or which one are you referring to, Vass?
Yeah, that one.
I can get that for you. Yeah, I mean, so this is from Miguel Delaney. Vass, we'll bring you in on this comment because I'm intrigued to hear what you're going to say. So this was straight after, and he said, if I demanded the same level as at Juventus and Inter, it could be dangerous, as my frustration could be very big. I want to improve the club with my vision, my idea.
See, that tells me that his target for Tottenham is not at the same level as Juve or Inter.
It's different. Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah,
and he said a few weeks ago as well that his job, the way he sees it, is to build a foundation for the club and then probably pass it on to somebody else. So he's sitting here in a totally different environment to what he's used to. At Juve and Inter, he might have been challenging for a league title or maybe even Champions League, even though he's not got much of a good record in the Champions League, but he certainly would have been pushing for a domestic title. But here it sounds like his target is to raise the level of Tottenham Hotspur. Problem is, he hasn't got the tools to do that. So maybe this is why he's not spewing after the game like he would have done if he was at Inter or Juve, because dropping points at Inter or Juve would have meant not winning the title. Whereas dropping points at Spurs is just a byproduct of him trying to get us to a certain level. So, I think the objectives just aren't aligned. I don't know what the hell we do, how we fix this. There's no question that the club need to start spending money. If they're going to behave like a big boy, then put your big boy pants on, get your big boy wallet out, and do what you need to do.
Vass, can I ask, Vass, can I interact with you there? Can I ask, like, let's make a comparison with, Not Man City's and Chelsea and stuff, because it's a joke. I mean, they're on a different level. You look at Liverpool, Arsenal, and
but Lee, hang on, sorry, are they on a different level? I don't think they are. With our revenue streams now, they're not on a different level. I think this is the point that everybody's getting to. Chelsea ain't. They're just throwing the biscuit barrel at it. And you know what I mean? And let me just. I just want to just say, right. But Chelsea are falling well foul of FFP now, and Man City are just Man City, but they're not really on a different level. And I think that's what everybody's problem is, that we can compete with them with the spending. We genuinely can, because not only have we got enough to spend within FFP, we can also push the envelope of it, like Chelsea have done, Arsenal have done. If Arsenal don't balance the books by the end of this season, they're under manners off of UEFA under FFP rules. So we've got that, and the take the piss room as well. So we absolutely
no other club is carrying debt like Spurs, though.
I wasn't going to say that anyway, but it was a good point. I wasn't going to say that. What I was going to say was, let's take Newcastle as an example, right? Under Mike Ashley, spent no money, owners out, spend no money, really bad feeling from top around the club. He brought in manager after manager, Joe Kinnear back in the day. He brought in, Steve Bruce, all these bits and bobs, mediocre, relegation battles, whatever it is. They sell the club to filthy rich owners, which is some of you might think it's a good thing, some of you might think it's a bad thing. That's a different topic. The point I'm making is, all of a sudden, the feel-good factor around that football club is completely different. And now everyone's together. We're going to do this. We're going to go for that. We're going to be positive. This is where we're going. We're going to build for the future. Eddie Howe coming to Tottenham Hotspur, most people in here would have been puking. They would have been saying, he is not good enough. They would have been saying, he is not good enough for Tottenham. Yeah, he's gone in there and he's put a philosophy together. He's put a culture together, along with the new owners, along with the feel-good factor, along with the flags, along with everything they're doing. Nothing to do with Chelsea, because Chelsea ain't doing that, even though they've got spending whatever. They ain't doing that. Newcastle now, they haven't even spent massive, and they are flying. And what I'm saying, and the point I was making, is that all it takes is for people to be aligned. That's all it takes, for people to be aligned, and you start squeezing it out. Look at under Pochettino, we didn't spend 518 days, which is part of the problem now, but we were aligned in terms of where we're going to push forward and where we're going to go. We were looking forward to stuff. We were looking forward to the stadium being built. We were looking forward. There's nothing to look forward to now. Tell me one thing to look forward to right now as a Tottenham fan.
And do you know what, Nick? As much as I just took Lee on at the start of that rant, I couldn't agree with him more, that football clubs need something as well that you cannot buy. You cannot throw any money at somebody coming in. Philosophy, identity, direction. You don't buy that. You create it. You just create it. So that's what you need. It's a balance of the money being thrown at it and bringing in a philosophy and an idea and having a go at it and sticking with it. You can't buy it. You have to build. You have to build it. So Lee's absolutely spot on with that.
Can I bring Vass in? Can I just bring Vass in for a second? Vass, I want to bring you in. Just want to get this final section of Conte's press conference, your thoughts on it before we have to talk a little bit of element about the game. Conscious we've got about 1,700 of you watching us live across all of our platforms. So again, incredible support for Arsenal and Spurs. We're really sorry we aren't bringing you more of a upbeat show, but it's therapy right now. I hope you guys are enjoying the therapy. Mentally, I think we all just need to have something enjoyable to look forward to, and we're not right now. Vass, to finish Conte's press conference, he said, when you understand very well what the situation is, you realise and you go into it with strength, you understand. It's logical if my expectations continues to be the same at Juventus and Inter, as we referenced to a second ago, then maybe it could be dangerous because my frustration could be very big. Instead, I know what my task is in this situation, and then I'm working very hard because I want to improve. I want to improve the team and the club with my vision, my idea, with my suggestions. Then for sure we see. I'm totally new into this situation, and I know my task is to be part of this process and to try, with a team in a transition, to start to become solid and to build a solid foundation and try to build a team ready to fight and win. On those basis of those comments, Cracks, it doesn't sound like he's going anywhere. It sounds like he's fully committed, and I'm just so confused right now about Conte, about the board. What do you make of those comments, Vass?
It sounds like he's trying to kickstart something at Tottenham. Now, I hear what Crackers was saying about getting a philosophy, getting a direction, getting a, whatever the words that Crackers use, and he's absolutely right. Those things take time, though. And we started to get those things under Pochettino. Problem was, we had a massive stadium build, which impacted everything. In all honesty, that stadium probably arrived at the very wrong time for where the team and the trajectory was going. So ever since Pochettino left, we've struggled to find our identity and our philosophy and whatever. We've tried managers, it hasn't worked. Conte's making it sound like he's trying to elevate Spurs to make them into a Juve or an Inter, where the expectations are always that high, and the feel around the club is always that great. Now, if that is the case, and that is what he's trying to say, I don't understand why he doesn't just put pen to paper, extend his contract, and then straight away that tells everyone that I'm here for the long term. That also tells the club that they've got to start putting their wallet where their mouth is and backing him and getting him the players he wants. Something's really tickling Crackers. I don't know if it's me or the comments, to be honest with you.
I think it's probably both. Oh, it's one of those nights. It's one of those nights.
It's not. It's Matthew Joe Hole say, couldn't he make us solid as a six-pack? Just made me laugh. Yeah. Sorry. Carry on,
That's
mate.
All right, mate.
Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, so I'm with you, Rick. It's a bit confusing, that message. And in the absence of a contract, that's what makes it confusing. Because if he's going to stay, I mean, the other reason why he should probably sign, in my opinion, is that it gives him leverage. So if the board still don't back him, then he can still leave and he'll get a bigger payout. So what's he got to lose? Just sign a damn contract and put everything, get it all flowing again. I don't know, man.
On success, he says here, I'm about this aspect an animal on success. And like I say, we will bring more Antonio Conte comments in as they come through. But we are going to do, for our listeners on audio, we are going to go for our first break of the show. You are going to hear directly from Antonio Conte, who gives you his reaction to that defeat against Manchester City. And like I say, when we come back for our listeners on audio, we'll be diving into some elements of the game. I feel, guys, look, generally what we would do right now is bring in the lineup, and we are going to do that. But I mean, I feel like we haven't addressed some of the issues in that game where essentially, when you look at some of the key players that we've got in this team, coming over to you, Lee, let's come over to you, Macca, then we'll go to Cracks.
Hang on, Rick, did we play to...
I'll be honest with you,
I forgot we even played with all this chat.
You know what? I have absolutely forgot that we even played a game tonight. It just feels like, do you know what? Day by day, just feels a continuation of Spurs.
No, the whole politics of the club and the situation is a bigger headline than the actual games itself.
I feel like
nuts. That's
at the moment, you can't even discuss the games because you've got to try and discuss the board, the manager, the players, and the game becomes so invariably irrelevant by the end of it. You think, what have we just watched?
Exactly.
It's just, I can't even.
What's a place to be? There's a club shouldn't be.
Do you know what, though? It all filters
the politics
through,
of it all.
Yeah, you're right. It all filters through. I was watching the game without being on social media, and then I went onto Twitter for a little while, and I thought everyone on Twitter was watching a different game. It's just all mental. I don't understand.
It's a basket case at the moment. It is. Did I say I'm going to come to you, Macca, there first? I was going to come to you, Macca, I think.
Yeah, you
Macca,
did.
let me come to you, Macca. Look, I think what we have to say, look, going at some of the mistakes we've made tonight, Perisic losing his man for Mahrez on the second goal, Perisic losing Mahrez, and Lloris been to the near post for the third, a long lay blunder for the fourth, who had wide open 1-on-1. the mad thing is the game plan was there. We played okay in the first half. We got ourselves a couple of goals. We capitalised on City's mistakes. But the captain of this football club, Hugo Lloris, now again, we don't like being personal and last word on Spurs. He's been a wonderful servant. He's been here for over 10 and a half years. But that is the man, Lee, that is meant to set the standard and set the tone for the team on the pitch. And certainly at the moment, he's crumbling. And in and around him, we are crumbling as well. And you can maybe, make that suggestion. Mahrez had a wonderful second half. But if we're going to keep self-inflicting like this, Lee, no matter who the manager is, no matter who the board is, we know that needs investment. We know the club needs to be improved. You aren't going to win football matches at all, Lee, are you? Whoever's here, right?
No, there's still mistakes. I need to name check the guy. I'll find it on Twitter. He done a brilliant thread about the mistakes that we've made this season, and he put like the video clips or the video images and stuff of each mistake that we made, like back to back. It was very good read. I get his name and name checking because it was really good. But then that got me thinking. That thread got me thinking. Hang on a minute. What happened the season before last? Before Conte got here? What happened? What was happening under Nuno? And then I was looking back. I'm thinking, was we making these mistakes under Nuno? And we were. Like defensive mistakes, we were. After them, I think we won the first 3 games. Didn't we? 1-0. And then after that, we started just shipping goals in left, right, and centre. It looked like under Nuno. It looked like the players weren't playing for him anymore. Like didn't fancy it, or whatever, came on to leave, all that sort of malarkey. So that could have been the case. And I was thinking, hang on, let's go back to Jose. Was he making these mistakes under Jose? And I referenced him earlier. The Newcastle draw with the Eric Dyer penalty thing, the 3-3 with West Ham after being 3-0 up. We could have gone 4-2 up with the Gareth Bale situation, and we ended up drawing 3-3. I mean, just giving away silly goals, stupid mistakes, silly free kicks. I remember going back to the Love Sport days, Rick. We'd be in the studio at Love Sport. We were talking about, guess what? Another silly free kick. And we would concede goals from free kicks all the time, like an out wide free kick. Someone would just go and push the player over. But like, why'd you do that? Bang, free kick comes in, header, thanks for your time, 2-0, whatever it is. And that's just not changed. It has not changed. I mean, there was a corner today that went, Emerson Well, fair play to him, what he scored. But typically, Emerson Well doesn't do anything in the attacking third. We had a corner in a situation, I thought, here we go. We have Perisic and Kulusevski in the corner. They've taken it short, and then Kulusevski's passed it to Emerson Royale to cross. Are you? Sorry, that is not out of the book, mate. The Vio's book. That is not after Giovanni's book. He should have been putting that in the mixer, score like we have done from corners, and he's taking it short. It's a mess. I just wrote down a few things, Rick, about the whole thing. I know you want to talk about the game, but it's not just one thing. If anyone studies forensics, or if anyone is interested by that, or how a disaster happens, or how you unpick a disaster, or how you stop a disaster from happening, all that sort of stuff, it is not one thing. It is a series of events. Remember that phrase. It is a series of events. No investment in the club for 518 days. The new stadium, sucking up some of them resources, having to move to Wembley. Jose sacked 6 days before cup final, and then you put a guy that's never managed a football team in his life against Man City, the best team in the country. Then you bring in another serial winner because you've already, but the Super League, the European Super League debacle that we, not just our club, but that we had. And this is a series of events. Then we bring in Nuno. Was it, Rick, 72 days of looking for a manager? This is utterly ridiculous from the football club, from everyone involved in the football club. It takes us 72. Then we find it's Nuno, and then what? Within 3 months, Nuno's gone. And we've just bought players for Jose, right? Joe Rodon. He wanted Skriniar. He gets Joe Rodon. Harry Redknapp wanted a top centre back in the day for a title push. He gets Ryan Nelson. No offense, Mr. Nelson. It's constantly happening over and over and over again. And it's that whole rinse and repeat piece. So again, coming back to, now we've got Conte in charge. He's trying to evoke the change. He's saying in his press conferences, look, I was brought into this club to change stuff, to bring a difference, a winning mentality, or galvanize the team to go on and win stuff. But he can't do that if he's got one arm behind his back and he's getting Longley instead of Bastoni. And what we've got to understand as fans, by the way, and this is fact. This is not just sticking up for people. This is fact. If Guardiola or Bastoni don't want to come to Tottenham because of the way we are, it's the same reason why Kane might end up leaving now in the summer and all the rumours that are going on because of the way we are. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
It's all right for them. They've got a choice. We haven't. We're the
Not
fans. We have not got a choice. We are
No.
Tottenham. That is it. And that's why it's really frustrating. But mistake after mistake on the pitch, mistake after mistake off the pitch. You cannot burn another manager. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. You cannot do it. Where do you go after some guy who, before he rocked up, had won 6 titles out of
the last 8 seasons?
5 out of 6.
Yeah,
but
5 out of
before he rocked up here.
Yep.
Jose Mourinho, for every single club he's managed, he's won trophies. He left us, he went to Rome, he won the trophy. I mean, you could not make this stuff up.
And he was sacked 5 days before a cup final as well.
Well, 6 days, yeah, just said
6
that.
days.
The fact of the matter is, every player that comes here, Ericsson, he leaves, 20 million. Thanks, Ericsson, you've been amazing. Yeah, everyone was on his back, you remember? Loads of fans on his back. He ain't doing it. 20 million in there. What happens? Wins a title. Couldn't make it up. People like Vincent Janssen, they win titles. Lo Celso goes and wins the Argent. It's just constantly happening. And for something to change, we have to change it together. It can't be one or two. We have to go together. We mentioned earlier in the match, in order to do high intensity pressing, the team has to do it together. You with me? That's an analogy. That's the metaphor. If we want change in this club, we have to do it together. And what we've done in this club, some of it has been unrivaled. Some of it off the pitch, some of the infrastructure has been outstanding. Look at the stadium behind Vass's fit. It is unbelievable. For those of you who've never been to the stadium, you've got to get yourself down there. It is incredible. Yet we
maybe not right now, but yeah.
Well, this is the point. I know it's a joke, Rick, but that's the point, isn't it? And when times are tough, that's when we need to get behind them. That's when we need to galvanise ourselves.
I agree every word.
I know it's really hard.
Yeah,
it's so difficult, mate. It's difficult.
Yeah. Vass going to come to you. Then I'm going to go to Cracks. Vass, look, I mean, we can criticise the manager all we like, and look, he does have his deficiencies. He has his issues as well. There's that argument that Son should have come off a lot earlier tonight for Richarlison. You can see Son at the moment is clearly struggling from such a lack of confidence. But Vass, if you literally gift teams goals almost every week, I don't know what chance you have. And I've actually lost count of the amount of individual errors Spurs players have made, not only this season, but as we've discussed, season after season after season. So we can keep blaming Conte for the monstrosity of a defence, but the fact that we haven't signed a defender yet this window is quite simply laughable. So there's an element of blame, Vass, for the board, for the manager, for the players. But where do we go from here? I think that's what everyone wants to know. What is the solution right now, Vass? Do you know the solution?
I wish I did, Rick. I'd be banging on Levy's door and telling him to shift his stuff and I'll take over. Listen, January's always been a shit window, in my personal opinion. The things that dictate player movement in January are contracts. You've got to look at, is their contract running down or is there a buyout clause? That's really the two factors that are influencing transfers in January. Because anyone who's half decent, who's playing for a decent team, they're usually in the running for something, and those teams don't want to let those players go. So you're either overpaying or you're relying on a situation, a preferable situation with a player's contract to go in and bring them in. So January's always been rubbish, in my opinion. But good business can be had, as we saw last January with Kulusevski and Bentancur. Masterstrokes by Paratici. And it's really sad that we're in 20 days in now and not even a whiff. I personally, I think Pedro Porro might just be a smokescreen. I don't even know if Antonio Conte
can I say something to you,
wants
Vass? And again, this is Vass to come back on. I'm going to go to Crackers. It's clear and evident, Vass, that we need to sign defenders and it needs to be done now. Again, I'll make that point. I think Jamie's mentioned this point, Lee, in the group as well for us, that every top team needs a solid foundation. It's what they're built on, Vass. We know that. And by the fact that it should be no surprise to a lot of people, Vass, that Spurs haven't controlled a game this season. And the reason for that is that the foundation, the back three, the back five, the back four, whatever we set up with, That is not solid. So if your defence is not solid, how can you expect to control and have structure in a game, Vass? How can you expect to have that?
There's something deeper than that, Rick, because when you think of last season, our defence was decent and people were bigging up Dyer and he got back into the England team. Ben Davies was getting rave reviews because he was transformed at left centre-back. We were doing good things and keeping clean sheets. However, the problem, I think...
Go on, sorry. You go.
Sorry. I think the problem this season is that a lot of teams have figured us out, how to play against us. Conte hasn't reacted in many cases, switching his tactics up, whether in-game or whatever. And I think we became a little bit too predictable. When Conte's tactics work, they work really well. When they don't, it can be a little bit painful. But some of these defenders that had a good season last season, yes, you're right, they're dropping off. The form is gone. And we desperately need defenders right now and a goalkeeper as well.
Cracks, coming round to you. Look, we keep making this point that we know a lot of things need to change at Tottenham. We know in this squad, it might not feel like it right now, Cracks, that there are some good players here, but arguably there's not enough of them. We haven't upgraded those that have been here for far, far too long. The other problem is, Cracks, nobody knows who the coach is going to be in 6 months. And you can't tell me that is not a problem. But that second issue that I mentioned about the coach, that is, for me, the biggest fundamental issue that we've got, that in 6 months' time, we don't even know who's going to be the manager of the football club. And when you take consideration, it's such a shame because we've got the FA Cup still to come. We've got a double header in the Champions League, which I know right now for people doesn't feel exciting that we've got that to look forward to. But I think Lee said this before, we should be excited. So, Cracks, we're an hour in here. And I feel like, as always here, we're not ever closer to what the solution is or what is going to make us feel better or what's going to fix this. So, is there anything right now that can make you feel better what we can do, Tottenham, before we go for the break?
Why don't we know who the coach is going to be in 6 months' time? Because Antonio's not committed. Why is Antonio not committed? Because he's not quite sure that he's going to get the sort of money that Antonio Conte needs for his brand of football. Antonio's always been a spend manager, isn't he? He's always been that manager that wants like box fresh players,
Spurs knew this,
higher end players.
Spurs knew this, Cracks. Spurs knew this, Cracks.
Rick, that when Antonio Conte joined, and we done a special show, didn't we? Welcome Antonio. The first thing I said was my opening monologue that night was, we've got a Bentley, now we've got to keep a Bentley on the road. You've got to service it. You've got to do the tyres in each corner. You've got to fill it with petrol. You've got to insure it. Da-da-da-da-da-da. So this is the problem we've got. He's not quite getting what he wants from this deal, and the club's not giving him what he wants from this deal. So, he's just not a right fit for us with the way we currently run the club. So, he's not committing. The club's not giving him what he wants, and you've got this malaise. You've got this, impasse, if you like, where that's just not happening. And within that vacuum that's been sort of come from that impasse, if you like, you've got what you've got now, and there's this uncertainty. So it's either, as my old nan used to say, shit or get off the pot. You've got to go all like balls deep with Antonio and give him the money, or get rid of him. And don't know, they'll probably, as I said to you time and time again, if he goes, they'll get Poch back, where they can give him less money to bring some players through and go there and go that way. Get a project manager in, but do something. Just do something.
Crackers, the thing is about the less money. And again, this isn't me sticking up. I want to see Guardiola's and Bastoni's playing for my football club. Don't even worry about that. I want to see that. I need to see that in my life. But when we had Paul Mitchell here under Pochettino, I think we were spending $3.5 million on a brand new centre back at the time. It was Eric Dyer, who scored on his debut against West Ham. I think we spent 11 million on Alderweireld. I think we spent, so the money that we were spending, we accumulated quite, and I think maybe the board, maybe the club's like got a bit spoiled by that. Maybe there's like, oh right, okay, so it can be done all the time. So then we're just going to stay in that philosophy. Yeah, this is back in 2014, for example. What I would say to that is it can't stay like that, because there's teams around us, as you rightly pointed out, that Chelsea spending whatever. It's just mental right now. But arguably, we saw the best football under that era. In the modern era, in that period, we saw the best football. We had the best memories, and we had the best. We had 2 League Cup finals. We had 2 title challenges. We had a Champions League final, and we had 2 FA Cup semi-finals. Now, I'm not lauding that. I'm not saying that is amazing.
But 1-0, Lee. But 1-0. But won none of them.
That's what I'm saying. We won nothing. But we're winning nothing now and playing utter shit football. Like we're nowhere further on. So the point I'm making is that you don't have to go and spend 80, 90 million. You just proved that. You said it yourself, or Vass said it earlier. Kulusevski and Bentancur were revolutionised last January. So it isn't just about the money itself. It's about getting the right players in for the right manager. And if that isn't, if Conte wants Bastoni for 58 million and a club say, nope, we're only going to play 30, that is a massive problem. If a club turn around and go, all right, we'll pay 60, but Bastoni says, nope, I'm staying in Italy, that's also a massive problem. The problem is that if we're Chelsea, Bastoni's playing for him. That's the reality. We are not an elite club. We're not. And if Guardiola is up for sale, and City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs all going for him, where's he going? He ain't coming to Tottenham. He's not. He's not coming to Tottenham because we don't pay the wages and we ain't paying the transfer fee. So we have to shop underneath.
There you go.
Where we have spent money,
so it comes down to that money issue again.
It comes down to the money. It comes down to the money.
Let's bring in Vass. I'm going to go for a break. Go for it, Vass.
Yeah, just very quickly. Where we have spent big money, we've spent it badly, and we've got our fingers burnt, and it's made the club scared again, I think. Like on Ndombele, Lo Celso, 2 of our biggest transfers.
They got to come back. They can come back to his club yet, then too. Oh my day.
Maybe, mate. I don't know.
You know what, Vass? Can I just finally get a comment from you on what he said about his own personal situation?
Well, listen.
Then we are. Go on, Crack. Do you want to finish? Make a point there, Cracks. Do you want to make a point there, Cracks?
No,
you got
just saying and Ndombele and Lo Celso. Okay, fair enough. There's those 2 that we spent money on, but then don't forget the club up the road spent an absolute chunk on Özil. They spent an absolute chunk on Aubameyang. They spent an absolute chunk on Lacazette, and they just wrote them off because do you know what? Come next season, guess what? All these TV companies and sponsors come along with another great big bucket of money and just pour it in again.
True, mate.
The money,
True, I agree.
Honestly, it's literally like the money doesn't matter anymore because, like, even if we fall foul of FFP, who's shutting us down? Really? No one's shutting a club down. That, like, honestly, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Just write it off and go again. On Ndombele and Lo Celso, the chairman's just got to go wipe his mouth and go, all right, okay, fair enough. That's done. And then you just have to back it again. But you have to have a philosophy and a plan. That's what you've got to have. You've got to have a philosophy and a plan and pick a manager and be brave with him. And if you go through 2 or 3 years, listen, as much as I hate it, I also admire it. This is exactly what the club up the road have done, but they've stuck with it. They could have bailed on him last season after we picked him to the post, but they didn't because they could see what they was building. I just want Tottenham to build something, whatever it is, whether that's under Antonio or a project manager. I want something to cling to and have a go at. And as I said at the start, if that fails, that's fine. But at the moment, just this like cobble along malaise, no, that's I can't have that. I just cannot. And if Enoch are not going to do anything different, then they can go up the road. I'll jump up and down outside the training ground and want them up. But I want them, wherever it is, whichever billionaire it is that comes in, I just want them to have a plan. I want them to try and understand what we want. That's all I want.
Yeah, we are overdue another break. Before we do that, we have got to squeeze in the goals. I want to do the goals about City, us and theirs, and then we are going to look ahead to Fulham. We do want to make sure we see everybody off by midnight for all of our own mental health. Just again, reminder, we've got drawn by the wonderful Richard Cracknell, the superb Lee McQueen, the brilliant Vass Koni here. Been with us over an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not going to lie, it feels like I've been here for 4 hours, guys. I feel mentally for us, I love you all, that this club is driving us up the bend. It is, and we've got 1,400 of you watching us here. So thank you so much again for all your incredible support. Vass, before we go for this break, Conte has said, for sure, under the personal aspect, it's a difficult season for what has happened with regards to his friends that have passed away. But now the situation is not important. The situation is my personal situation. And then will be the time to make the decision right for me, for the future, for my family. But the situation doesn't affect the work and doesn't affect the team. I'm really focused about this aspect. I'm an animal because I'm really focused. Vass, Spurs' results against the Big Six of Newcastle. We know Reed, a draw at Chelsea away, a loss at Arsenal, a loss at United, loss at Newcastle, loss at Liverpool, a loss against Arsenal, loss at City now. I mean, before we close this segment, is he still the right man for the job, Vass? Is a question I want to ask you.
That's a hard one. He's the right man for the job if his heart's in it. You know,
based on those comments you've heard tonight, is he still? Do you feel he still wants to be here?
It sounds like he does still want to be here, but you know, his family's still in Italy. I don't know. I don't know how motivated he is to stay here at the moment. There's just so much around him and around the club at the minute, that's giving us conflicting messages. I really don't know where we are. We do need some direction and a plan, like Crack said.
Okay, well, let me make it easy for you, Vass. Yes or no? We're going to ask this before we go for this break. Vass, for you, is he still the right man for this job? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put my tuppence in here. I think he's the right manager, but he's at the wrong club. That's what I think. He's the right manager, but he's at the wrong club. And in my opinion, it hurts me to say this. I don't think it's going to work, guys. I don't think it's going to work. Macca, is Antonio Conte still the right man for this football club?
I don't think we should be getting rid of Antonio Conte. I think it would be a massive mistake. I do agree partly with what you just said, though, is the right man, but at the wrong club. The club needs to change the philosophy of bringing young players in to sell on or with a sell-on value, because we haven't sold on one of our superstar players for, since I can't even remember, actually. Carl Walker, I'll go with that. I don't think we've sold one of our superstar players since Carl Walker. That was in 2017 for 50 million. Every other player that we've had here, we've either let their contract run down so we can't get big money from Ericsson, or they've turned to piss poor. Dele Alli, you probably could have got 120 million for Dele Alli in his prime. He's worth what, £1.20 now? Do you know what I mean? Harry Kane, he can walk away. Even if we sell him in the summer now, what's he worth? 40 million? He's got 1 year left on his contract, maybe 50 million. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know why the club's philosophy, if you like, or what we hear, we don't know this because the club don't come and tell us this. We just hear this from journalists. But the club's philosophy is buy them young, coach them up a little bit, put them on a long contract. They've got sell-on value. We don't sell any players on anymore. So that's, so the club need to change their philosophy. And yes, I would stick with Antonio Conte.
Cracks, let's come to you. Then we're going to go for this next break. I'll make it clear for you. If you think Antonio Conte is the right man for Tottenham, Cracks, will the club change for Antonio Conte?
Oh, he's absolutely the right man for Tottenham. We've just got the wrong board, Rick. I'll just leave because he's just not an Enoch man. He's a Tottenham man. I love him. He matches feet. he's a winner and he wants to win. But, you know, do Enoch share his vision? And in my opinion, no. So, yeah, he's the right man, wrong board.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much. What we are going to do is we are going to go for
Maurizio.
What we are going to do, we are going to go for our next break of the show for our listeners.
That's what's coming, Rick. Come on.
I agree.
It is. It's coming, isn't it, Rick? Sorry to interrupt. We know it's coming.
Yeah. The shame is if we had more, if we had more time, I don't think mentally we'd be all right if we've got more time on this. We're killing ourselves here with this bloody football club. We are literally killing ourselves with this club. I've got 3 guys here that I adore, I love having them on last one on Spurs. And I'm seeing how much they're broken by this club. I don't want to keep doing it to them. I won't. So we're going to briefly skirt over the goals, which we have got to put ourselves through. I am showing you the team that played this game and is always broken down by the brilliant Ali Gold. Vass has come over to you to get the... Well, I don't know. Let's go to Lee, then we'll come to Vass. Lee, we'll get the breakdown of you and your thoughts on the team. So Conte made 4 changes to his team to face City. He decided to Frenchen up the team in a number of positions. Pat Matsassar, who obviously impressed previously for Tottenham at North London Derby, was back on the bench with Bentancur deemed fit enough to start. Richarlison returned to the bench and was among the subs, while with Conte decided to bring in Ben Davies and Clement Longley in that back 3. The wing-backs were changed with Perisic coming into the side for Ryan Sessegnon and Emerson Royale coming in for Matt Doherty after he was feeling unwell in the week but recovered enough for a spot on the bench. Hill missed out after picking up a knock in training, so Spurs were back to just the one attacker on the bench with Lucas Moura still out. So that team read Lloris Romero, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Perisic, Kulusevski, Kane, Son, with a bench of Forster, Sanchez, Longley, Tanganga, Doherty, Sessegnon, Sarr, Basuma, Richarlison. Maka, when that team came out, quite honestly, what were your thoughts?
Well, I was pleased to see the reason back, even though he wears number 30, Rick, to be fair, not number 6, as Royale wears 12, not 13. But yeah, I was pleased to see the reason back, Bentancur in the middle of the park. I'm pleased to see that front 3 together after Sessegnon's display in the North London Derby at the weekend. I was pleased to see Perisic back. So, you know, you can look at things in different ways. You can look at it and say, this is a joke. What else can he play? I was looking at it thinking, actually, pretty good. Dyer with a Romero, he could be solid. With a Ben Davies, that back 3 last season was pretty good at the back end of last season. We ain't got any other centre-backs. He brought on Longley and he was shocking as well. So when that first came out, I thought, yeah, I'm really pleased to see Bentancur back. That was my first thought.
Guys, let's get in actually to the game itself, the goals itself. We can possibly try and understand what was happening. Vass has come over to you. Tottenham actually lead a football match once again, and it came in that first half. Really good pressing from Bentancur. Kulusevski capitalised on the mistake. And yeah, Spurs go in front, which is quite remarkable. I know this feels like a long, long time ago now, but subsequently Spurs going 1-up. Vass, did you have any hope at that point Spurs are actually going to get a result in this game?
Yeah, we've got a good record up there. So it's always something that you fancy. And against Man City, you can get in behind them. And I don't think Man City's defence is that great, if I'm totally honest. So I felt we did have a bit of a chance. And the good thing about the goals we scored was that we were pressing quite well and we got bodies into their box on both goals. I mean, bloody hell, Royale for the second was standing in their 6-yard area, goodness sake. So, yeah, it was good to see. I felt we had a chance, and once you went 2-0 up, you just felt like, okay, lads, come back out second half, just hold on for 15 minutes and go again. And, well, that's what we didn't do, sadly.
No. Cracks, come over to you. I don't think we can all believe this. Ederson parrying a Kane shot, and Emerson was on hand to head the ball into the empty net from point-blank range. I say empty net, obviously the goalkeeper was diving, but it was quite a remarkable few minutes, which mentally I should have known was too good to be true, really, Cracks, wasn't it, when Emerson scored the second?
Yeah, but do you know, in our household, we all just looked at each other and went like, what is going on?
What's going on? Yeah.
It was just looking at half time and it was like, football's it's nuts. I love people that don't get football because I think to myself, lucky bastards, not being dragged into this. But then I also pity people that don't love football. and then see that and go, do you know, it was nuts. It was just one of those surreal moments. But the upshot of it all, Rick, even at 2-0, you just think to yourself, this game's not done. It's just not done. And that's currently where we are with Tottenham, because even at 2-0, and this goes back years, doesn't it? Like when we were 3-0 up against Man United, and, you know, all the time we've been under, you know, this current regime, there's always been that soft underbelly. Lads, it's Tottenham. And until we can lose that lads, it's Tottenham tag, then, you know, we're just not going to pull up any trees. We just, you know, we're not going to crack eggs and make omelettes, are we? That's the problem. We're just always in a perpetual state of lads, it's Tottenham. And that's what we've got to knock out of this club. We have to. And, you know, I don't know how that happens, whether that's, you know, a new board coming in, new owners, a new manager, a manager that can give us some direction, and some players lose that tag. But that's just what we've got to get rid of, is this lads, it's Tottenham philosophy. But, you know, he scored that goal and you just think to yourself, football is absolutely nuts. It is chaos. It's balmy. It really is.
It was. And Macca, coming around to you, I mean, the lead was quite frankly short-lived, but Spurs had scored more goals in that final 3 minutes of the first half against Man City than in their first half of their previous 10 Premier League games. The question was, could we hold it going into the second half, where we obviously done really well to capitalise on City's sloppiness? Ironically, I say that, bearing in mind what comes in the second half. City get a goal back, Macca. Scramble in the box. Spurs just simply couldn't get rid of the ball. Lloris intervened, but no defender did. And Alvarez was there, who cushioned the loose ball into the top left-hand corner. 2-1, game on. Thoughts on that, Macca, at that point, 2-1?
Well,
Did you ever feel we would be able to hold on in that game, or be able to... We did actually have a chance to go make it 3-1 at one point.
Yeah, I did think there was another goal in it for us. And to be fair to us, before they scored, I think their third one, was it? We hit the bar. So, you know, that was very unlucky. So I thought we managed the first half pretty well. When you go away from home, you know, sometimes you need to try and control the crowd as much as anything else. And I think we've done that pretty well in the first half. And that's what we need to do in the second half. And maybe that's what Conte's comments were referring to in his press conference, saying about that experience thing. We didn't manage the first 10, 15 minutes, did we, of that second half at all? I mean, to be fair, look, sometimes you just got to... We've all been moaning about no investment and the fact that we've got the players are not very good and whatever. And therefore, you know, we've also got their bench is a joke. They've spent loads of money. They're just better than us, right? And that's really sickening. But the reality was that they absolutely battered us. It was like the Anthony Joshua Klitschko fight. Do you remember that back in the day where he'd have him down on the canvas and then he got up and then he had him down on the canvas, and it was just, we took an absolute pounding. And yeah, that first 10 minutes was just done. It just completely done us, didn't it? And then when they scored a second, that was it. I thought it was very different. I did feel late on in the game, that we might have another goal in us, but couldn't get it. And the best team won.
It was mad. It was 0-0 after 43 minutes, and on 53 minutes it's 2-2. I mean, there is just simply no club like Tottenham. It really isn't. Vass, coming around to you. Mahrez. Well, I can't forget Kulusevski and nearly pulled the ball back to Perisic, but his low shot to fit up against the woodwork. Spurs nearly gone 3-2 in front. Now Vass has come back and will come to... Sorry, now Cracks has come back and will go to Cracks. Mahrez gets the better of Perisic, fires a low shot at Lloris's near post. He has to do better there. Listen, we know it's against City, but, you know, Tottenham... The way that Cracks, that we just can't deal with adversity, the way we just can't seem to handle it. One goal conceded by another, and at 3-2, I think we're just dead at that point. Cracks, aren't we? 3-2.
Yeah, it's just, you know, and that's the current malaise at the club, isn't it? You know, we like the boxer with no chin at the moment. There's no character to us. You know, Lloris has got done yet again on his near post, and that's just who we seem to be at the moment. You know, is this one goal goes in and you think to yourself, oh, here comes the floodgates. And so it did, because there's just no backbone, no character, no structure to us. There's no sucking it up and going again. So I don't know, Rick. We've discussed all evening, you know, why that might be, you know, the current culture of the club and what's going on. It's just there's no bravery. There's no bravery from the top. And that just filters down into the club, into the manager, into the players and everybody. And even the fans, you know, we're all, you know, as soon as that first goal goes in, we're all thinking the same. So from top, I wouldn't say, I don't like to say from top to bottom, because that's almost putting like the fans at the bottom. It's not. The fans are at the top of this club because they are the club. Forget the board, forget the players, forget the manager. We are this club. So from the bottom to the top, if you like, from the board upwards to us fans, but at the top of this club, there's just this, you know, it's spineless, isn't it, at the moment? But so you know, it feeds back into what I was saying. If somebody gets hold of this club and just gives us a bit of an identity and a pair of bollocks, if you like, then maybe we suck up that first goal and try and go again. You know, so I just want a little bit of resilience built in around us as well.
Yep.
So, you know, that, he's, you know, Loris, he should have been replaced a couple of years ago, shouldn't he, really? Perisic is not a long-term answer. So this is where we currently are. It's just get some permanency in, some quality in, and then these things don't happen. And they feed into us as fans to start to have a little bit of resilience ourselves and go, no, okay, that's a setback, but we can go again because we've got this little bit of quality about us now, you know? So, yeah, it's, I don't know. Everything
you know
seems
what? I
to
think
be
we
feeding into each other.
Sorry, Crackers, but we're just, there's a lot of recency bias here, okay? Because it wasn't that long ago where this Spurs team was showing resilience and coming back from 2-0 down and with 3-2, pulling back, all sorts of games we were having. Actually, today is the anniversary of that Leicester away game when we scored a couple of goals right at the end from Stephen Bergwijn. We've done it recently, but we're letting recent moods cloud our judgment in a lot of things, and we've got to be careful of that. Yeah, we've got issues, and I think there's a weak mentality in the fan base. I don't know whether that's through years and years of suffering or whatever the case may be, but the weakness goes throughout the club, and the fans are included. I think today the goals we conceded were poor. It's definitely poor. I mentioned at the top of the show that I thought Perisic was partly at fault for all three of them.
I agree. But, you know, 3 in 12 minutes, Vass, we implode, and the team, you can see guys like you're just not going to win games. And like I say, you know, you mentioned it there, Vass, for the third time Perisic was beaten down Spurs' left. He misjudged a cross. Mahrez got in behind. He beat Lloris at the near post. Lloris, again, you can't be beaten at the near post. I know Cracks' son's a goalkeeper. You can't be doing that. You know, Lloris now, someone might be saying it's such a pathetic display, and I don't want to be, again, crude by saying that, but he's been here for 10.5 years. We know that, but it's now 5 errors leading to goals this season for Spurs domestically, more than any other player in the Premier League. You could argue she's more fault for more than one of those goals. You could say it maybe was 6, but yeah, just a horrendous night overall. Basuma replaced Bentancur. He got 74 minutes into his legs. And then the dreadful touch by Clement Longley. I'm not going to ask the boys about this. You know, allows Mahrez to run in behind him. The game's gone. The game is gone. And 4-2. There is what we're at. But what we are going to do is we are going to go for our final break of the show for our listeners and audio. Take you into that break. You're going to hear from Dom, our very good friend, Don from the Love Sport days, from the Fulhamish pod, who gives us his thoughts ahead of Monday night at Craven Cottage. Thank God, Spurs not in our lives playing until Monday. Chance for all of us to mentally break away from Tottenham. Guys, for your own mental condition and sakes here, I don't make a joke about mental health. I really, really don't. It's a serious thing. I am just going to ask you your predictions and then let you be off for this one, Fulham. Cracks, we've got, a few days between now and Fulham on the Monday. Do you expect anything to change club-wise, board-wise, manager-wise in between this game, Cracks?
No, I don't think so, really. I don't think the manager's going to go anywhere in that time. I don't think there's going to be any change in personnel upstairs or with players. So, prediction-wise for Fulham, I mean, they're flying at the moment, aren't they? They look. Then we all thought going to Palace, but we might get served up. So, and we didn't. Did 1-0 for. I can't predict Tottenham at the moment, Rick. I just cannot predict what we're going to do. Who would have thought we'd have been 0-2 up at half time, given all our first half performances like this evening? Oh, we capitulated. Our soft underbelly came out. I don't know, Rick. We could win 4-0. We could lose 4-0. We might draw 8-8. It's just don't put Tottenham in your accumulator if you like a bet. That's the only prediction I can give you. I don't know, Rick. Ask me 5-10 minutes into a game how we're gonna do, and I can give you half an idea, because you sort of kind of get the tone of what Tottenham are going to be within the first 5-10 minutes. But Fulham are in form, so it's another tough game. But if we do get beat there, I don't know. I think. Well, listen, I think Conte's
just make a prediction, Crackers, mate.
I think he's gone already.
He's gone already.
0-0.
All right, but
carry on. Ask someone else.
Vass, let's go to you, mate. Fulham Monday night, Craven Cottage.
Oh, mate, it's going to be tough because they're playing some good stuff. I watched them in a game
are.
recently. Who did they beat? I can't remember, but
well, they're currently sixth in the league. They're 2 points off Tottenham. I mean, they're on the verge of European football under Marco Silva.
Yeah, listen, I think if we can play like we played today and cut out the mistakes,
it's a big if, isn't it? Yeah,
I think that there's a victory there to be had. So we might sneak a 2-1.
2-1 from Vass.
Fingers crossed.
Macca, do you have a prediction and a rallying cry for us mentally here?
No rallying cry. I think we'll leave some rallies that is going on Saturday. I just think that we're just devoid of anything. There's no positive at all in the football club, and it's really, when you go to all the games, you go to the away. I don't go to a lot of away games. I get the points, but I go to the ones that I can do, and I go to all the home games. And you just start thinking, what's the point? Like, what's the actual point in going? Do you know what I mean? I'd love to know the amount of people that are. Cracker said earlier about like hitting them hard in their pocket. I'd love to know the amount of people that are actually saying, do you know what? I'm not going anymore, or the amount of people that do go that are now not going. Does that make sense? Because of the turgid football, the way the football club is. I think Fulham, it's under the lights, isn't it? Monday night football. We know what we have to do because everyone else around us has already played. It's going to look horrendous. I don't even want to look at the table. I'm gonna go for a win. I could do a combined Fulham. Should I do a Tottenham combined Fulham 11 like I did the Arsenal? I'll stick in a load of Arsenal players, right? Should I? Just before the North London derby, so we can big them up. Like that way, it makes total sense. I might do that with Fulham. We put Mitrovic up top. We'll have their goalkeeper in goal. Yeah, it'd be perfect, wouldn't it? So yeah, I think we win. I think we'll win 3-1, Rick.
Yeah. Can I just pick on one thing here? Just Sava's comment, and we are going to close the show. Sava says, can we get any of the Last One Spurs crew to join us for a debate? They always stop short of saying what they feel as they're sponsored by the club and go on Sky Sports. I asked Ricky, but he won't respond. Sava, the reason why I won't respond to you is that on a number of occasions you've been rude and personal to me, and then you would expect me to come and do a show with you and give you my view and interpretation of Tottenham. I just want to... Crash, you can say your point, honestly. It's just, you know what, it almost makes me laugh. Sava doesn't obviously listen or watch Last One on Spurs, because if he did, he would know that we talk about the board every single week. And this all makes me laugh. We've all said it, Sava, that we all want change.
Up for it.
Oh, man, more than welcome, Cracks.
I'll put myself up for it.
No, go for it. We all want change.
Right.
We all need change.
Now listen,
and no one's denying that we need change.
Sava, Stel, any of the mob, Richard M. Cracknell at gmail.com. Email me an invite and I'll come on any show that you like and I'll speak to you. I will speak to you. No problem. I'll go up as the last word on Spurs.
I've had enough of this now. All you want is airtime. That's all you want. Go and get your own followers. Go and do the hard work like Rick's done for 7 years to build up a following and to build up the podcast. Go and do it yourself. Yeah. Don't piggyback on other people's successes when most of the comments tonight have just been spamming it. All of the viewers that want to actually watch the show, they can't do anything. You've just literally spamming it. And it's got nothing to do with last week. You are deluded if you think we get paid by the club.
Mental.
Utterly deluded.
If we get paid by the club, why would we criticise the club the way we do every week? It's
for free.
Yeah. But I don't want to
our following based on doing these shows. It's just utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm from a totally different podcast altogether, and I ain't getting shit for coming on here tonight. Well, apart from my missus.
But I don't want to detract away. I don't want to detract away from the fact that we've had. I don't want to detract away from the fact we've had. A wonderful support for tonight, which again I want to say a massive thank you to. Cracks.
No, listen, most of the people that watch, the vast majority that watch get what we're saying. We discussed Enoch. I've had a difference of opinion with Lee tonight. Where Vaz is coming from. Vaz doesn't get where I'm coming from. You know, you offer up the show as a vehicle. You don't tell me what to say. The club gives me absolutely jack shit. I've never had anything for a club. In fact, the club, if they don't like me doing Legends nights because, it's control, and I'm, getting all this money and perks and everything, it's absolute nonsense. But if they want somebody to come along and debate with them on a show because they want some viewers, richardm@gmail.com, email me. And I'll gladly come on. I'll come on and I'll give you my position, and I'll probably give you last word on Spurs position. And I'll go on a YouTube channel and I'll go and speak to them. No problem at all. Because Rick, like I've told you, like I always tell every listener to this show and on social media, I care what my wife thinks. I care what my children thinks, my parents think, and probably a couple of dozen friends. After that, I could not give a flying fig what anybody thinks of me. So I'll come on and debate with anybody at all. So still anybody else that like man or whatever his name is, whoever they are, I'll come on any show you want. You've got my email address, invite me on and I'll come and debate you where I'm coming from.
Yeah, well, I think, like I say, for all of us now, I think that's
Thank
made
you very
our
much.
stance
I'm Ben Elton. Good night.
Yeah, I think it's made our stance very, very clear on that. For all of you, listen, thank you so much for all of your support. For those that are, massive, massive fans of the show. Vass, thank you so much. Vass, obviously, you can be found over at the Dr. Tottenham podcast. Vass, thank you so much. Where can we find the Dr. Tottenham podcast very quickly, Vass?
Anywhere people get their podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, anything like that, where you get your podcasts. And we're also on YouTube, so you can find our live streams there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Vass. Cracks.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Pleasure. Always, Vass. Cracks, thank you so much for tonight. Really appreciate it, bud.
No, thank you, Rick and Lee and Vaz and everybody that's tuned in. And look, we're not in a good place at the moment, and tensions are high, aren't they? But look, if we can't all stick together and try and find a way forward, like tonight, you look at the away end, absolutely bang out again. This club. Honestly, this club doesn't deserve the fans it's got at the moment, does it? So But look, if we can't stick together as fans and try and find a way through this, we've got nothing. Yeah. We've got absolutely nothing. So thank you, everybody. Like, you know, thanks, Rick, for inviting me on again. Pleasure. And so let's see where we are.
Yeah, Macca, thank you so much, mate.
Brilliant, mate. It's always a pleasure. It's always different. There's always something to talk about in there with Spurs. It's never going to be a situation where it's just flying through and everything's happy. There's always going to be some sort of drama. That's why we're Tottenham fans, isn't it? At the end of the day, like we always say, look, no matter what your stance or your opinion is, we do. If you genuinely love the club, that genuinely are a fan, and you want to go and see your team do well, then that's what we all want. We want the same thing, right? At the end of the day, that's what we're looking at. So yeah, mate. I look forward to. I'm back on. We're doing another show tomorrow, aren't we, Rick?
We are. Yeah, we are back tomorrow. Perfect. Mentally, we will see how that goes.
People get involved.
Yeah, quite literally. From Crackers, from Vass, from Lee, from myself, guys. Thank you so much for all your support tonight. Really, really appreciate it. As always, please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on, you Spurs.